So the real estate sort of happened. I'd always had an interest in real estate. And being in the military, you move quite a bit. So I would buy a house and then rent it. As I moved to another base, I would buy another house, then rent that house.
Welcome to the Real Estate Mogul MD podcast. Thanks for tuning in and taking control of your financial future. This is a show where we not only motivate and inspire, we give you actionable real-world experience to help you live life by design. You'll hear journeys and stories from other physicians, investors, coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Brett Riggins. Today we're talking with retired Lieutenant Colonel of the United States Air Force. And wow, what a journey there. Leading the facial surgery team deployed in Afghanistan. Absolutely amazing. He's now the clinical professor of surgery at UTRGV School of Medicine. He's also the president of Recomex Investment Series, LLC. And this is an exciting conversation talking about single family along the way, moving into multifamily, the smaller multifamilies ranging from 7 to 20 to 30 units. And also the acquisition of the commercial properties that his private practice is in. You're going to love this conversation. Please, everybody, welcome Dr. Carlos Ayala to the show. All right, Carlos, welcome to the show, man. How does it feel to be Carlos today?
Oh, it feels great, Brett. Feels great to be Carlos every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And just before we came on here, I was thanking you for your service and expressing my sincere gratitude and just noting that doing what you do, being specialized in the skills that you have, and then being deployed on top of that is just an amazing responsibility. And the fact that most of us in the civilian world couldn't fathom some of the things that you've done and things you've dedicated your life to do. So thanks again on air and always sincere gratitude for that, sir.
My pleasure, Brett. My pleasure.
And now here we are. Tell us, I guess we'll let the listeners in a little bit on your background. I know a little bit about you, Carlos. Why don't you just let everybody know kind of where you started in medicine and where you're at now?
You know, I'd like to take it all the way back to the Bronx, New York, where I was born and raised. Because in there, I grew up in the inner city and it was tough, single mom, and didn't really know any direction. Translated for my mom when she went to the doctor, and she didn't speak English. And that's where I got the love for medicine, watching people help my mom. So that started the whole idea of going into medicine. But then getting through New York City and through schooling was difficult because too many distractions. So basically, I had to join the military to get focused. So right out of high school, I had my mom sign for me, and I left off to the military, trying to pursue my dream of someday becoming a physician. So that's kind of how it started. Through that track, I went through the enlisted ranks, then the officer ranks, then finally got into medical school, and I was able to have a military scholarship for all of my schooling. And then became a physician out of UCLA medical school, and then went ahead and did my residency in Otolaryngology at Harvard. And then went back on active duty. I served, went to Germany, served there to take care of some of the troops that were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and decided that, you know, these guys, their faces were really damaged from IED explosives. We needed more training to try to help them to have normal lives when they return to the community. So I applied for a fellowship in facial plastics, was selected, ended up going to a very prestigious fellowship in Beverly Hills and learning really how to deal with the aesthetics of fixing their faces so that they could be as normal as possible. The deal with that was that whoever went to that fellowship was then going to go out to Afghanistan and actually be there in the front lines. So in 2011, I was in Afghanistan for 4 months, and I was really the main facial trauma surgeon there for the war at that time. Took care of them, came back, saw a lot of crazy things there, and came back and finished off my time in the military. Because I had served as an enlisted and had done so many years, I was able to retire with 20 years of service. And then was looking for a place to settle down. This place where I'm at in South Texas on the border was an underserved area. And to continue my service, I said I wanted to go somewhere I could help people. So I ended up in the valley, Rio Grande Valley of Texas. And here I was greeted with open arms, a lot of help to get me set up. And basically first was employed, then opened my own practice. And now I've been in practice for 10 years with my own practice.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that journey. And I do have to admit, when I was doing a little bit of research before the show here, I put a couple of words together and it's like, wait, that didn't make sense. So first Beverly Hills jumped out and then the Valley. So when I see the Valley related to Beverly Hills, it's right there. And then underserved, I'm like, well, how do you find, I mean, that's not really the area that people are underserved in. Some area. Yeah. So different Valley, different direction, different people. Yeah, for sure. So but getting past that and to be where you're at now, doing what you're doing, it's just a remarkable journey along the way. Tell us a little bit about how that went for you, transitioning from an employee, and being basically from one of the biggest operations in the world, the United States government, into being an employee, but now owning your own business. What's that like for you?
Oh, I think that's great to talk about, Brett, because I know your audience is physicians and various people. I think being an employee, there's a sense of comfort, and you sort of don't have to worry about where your money's coming from. You sort of worry about just getting to work and doing the work. You know you will be paid. So when I came out of the military from that structure, it sort of seemed natural to just be employed. I didn't know, and I didn't have any plans of private practice. But once I became employed and having been a physician for so many years already, I realized that they were just going to work me, and I was not going to be able to practice medicine the way I wanted to. Actually, I wanted to sit there, get to know the patients, and not sort of assembly line kind of a practice. So after about a year, I realized this is not for me. I could have moved, but the need was still there. So I decided to open a private practice, never having done it, never knowing how to do it, and then just did it, basically.
And where does that start? Like, first of all, there's this feeling that happens inside of us, and then the idea to take action on that feeling. Then what? Like, where did you start? Did you research? Did you reach out to other people? I mean, what did that look like for Carlos? Step one.
I think there's so many parts to being in your own practice, from legal things to accounting things to credentialing things to location. I think it can be overwhelming and it can be very scary. So you have to contact other people that are in private practice, get ideas from each of them, see what kind of a niche you're going to fit here in this location where you're going to set up your private practice. Talk to the financial people that are going to sort of bankroll and back your practice, and then realize that you can do it. You have unique skills, you have a drive, a desire, and then it's a needed service in an area that needs care. So you will do it. So basically that's it. Then it's a matter of getting it done. And for me, it was setting up a company, hiring people, getting credentialed, looking for the space, remodeling the space, opening the door, getting going.
And asking others, whether inside your circle or out, it sounds like that's what you did. You reached out to somebody else that had done this process before. So that's great. I think that's wonderful. And then leading into the real estate piece, it sounds like are you renting currently?
No.
So you acquired.
So the real estate sort of happened. I'd always had an interest in real estate, and being in the military, you move quite a bit. So I would buy a house and then rent it. As I moved to another base, I would buy another house, then rent that house. And slowly was acquiring single family homes until I was going to get into where I was going to stay. Once I decided it was Texas, I sort of sold those houses and sort of began to settle down here in Texas. I bought my offices so that I would own them. I bought my first townhouse home, then rented that. Then I bought my first multifamily, and that was a sevenplex, and then continued to go from there. It's just once I decided was where I was going to be, I just began to buy real estate and own multifamily. Small multifamily is my niche, is what I like. But I own office, I have Airbnb, land, different things like that.
Very nice. So that definitely skyrocketed there into the whole real estate conversation, which I love. But I'm always interested in that rollover into private, kind of how that process works, because some physicians will rent, some have the ability to acquire. In this particular scenario, you came out of the gate and you acquired for your practice. Was that something that was advised to you from the mentor that you were working with?
Well, no, it wasn't advised, but it started when I initially set up the contract to rent. So I walked in renting with the contract for them to build out my space, pay it out of the lease over 3 years with a pre-negotiated buyout and purchase. When I started, I had no money, so I couldn't negotiate a purchase at that point. But I could get in the space, rent it. The build out is included in the rent. But because I bought it at a price that was 3 years earlier, when the 3-year time came up, I just bought it and owned it. So it had to have a little bit of pre-thought of how I was going to get in there. So if I was going to fail, I would not have been able to buy it. But at least if I did do well, which that was the plan, I bought it at the price it was worth 3 years ago. It was a win-win for me and for the person selling it because they had 3 years of rent and they got all their money out of me.
Yep. Very interesting. I like that idea going in. You didn't have the capital up front, but you had that seed planted of not, I can't afford this, but how can I? And I think setting that up, pre-negotiating or negotiating that into the original lease agreement is awesome. Just one note is that I guess the difference in language when we set up something as an option to buy versus an actual time to buy, there's a difference. When we negotiate an option to buy, the seller has to be willing to do it still.
Yes.
So it sounded like in your agreement or your language, there was the idea that the seller is going to sell and there was a finite date on that time.
Yeah. Yes, there was.
Yep. That's very cool. Very cool. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So some people go into a contract saying, well, I've got first right of refusal or option to buy. Well, that doesn't mean anything unless the seller is willing to sell.
Yes.
Yep. Very cool. So yeah. And then moving around, acquiring those single families, I know is always a question that we talk about a lot if I'm not going to be here, then why should I buy a house here kind of idea. And even for physicians who are bumping around for med school or their significant other, their partner has got to move for residency here or fellowship here. There's lots of, transient activity, and the idea of do I buy or do I rent? And in your scenario, you acquired. And I think not only were you cash flowing on these properties, hopefully, you were also capturing appreciation when you did so.
Yes. I think the first one I bought was in 2004, and that was early. Then there was a little crash, 2006, 2008. If in the end I broke even or did fine, it was all good. That was not my concern. For me, as a physician, I do facial plastic surgery, I do ENT. That's the bread and butter for me. The real estate cash flow is not going to reach what I can do as a physician. So I need my time to be able to do those things. So for me, I needed to sell those properties that were away from me because they were going to take too much time from me to maintain them. The ones I have now, I have a property management company and I work with them to manage those properties as well as my wife is a real estate professional. So
My
together,
hands are in the air, Carlos. Yes, that's awesome.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so that's how we work that, so that I'm free to be what God made me to be, which is a surgeon, a doctor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can be involved in all these real estate transactions and have a whole nother business completely on the side.
Yep. And I would, the only thing I would point out there is kind of like a limiting belief that we have that real estate couldn't produce the same value to you as a physician. I would say that it can. You just have to find the right way, and you have to find the why has to align. And what I hear in you, Carlos, is there's no way that a real estate portfolio could fill your love bucket or your what God has created Carlos to be bucket, no matter what the dollar value may be. So in that regard,
That's
real
right.
estate never has a chance to provide for you what being a physician can provide for you.
That's exactly right, Brett. It's the love of medicine, the love of helping others, the love of giving back that drives me and fills me. It's not the dollars.
Yeah, and not being able to, I guess, separate the two is a big piece there, Carlos, because real estate can provide that platform to allow you to do the medicine you want, not the medicine you need to do.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations on that too. And the REP thing, the real estate professional thing, because I am not a CPA, but I love echoing this stuff when we do have that REP classification. We can use passive losses to offset our active income. So the income, when we're talking about straight dollar value, that being an amazing physician as you are, doing that very unique thing that you do, provides that high income for you, but it also provides high taxes too. The beautiful thing about real estate, as I'm sure you know, is the depreciation, cost segregation, bonus depreciation, those things that we can use their passive losses to offset our active income.
Exactly, Brett. Now, the interesting thing was all of that I came about on my own. So from the rich dad, poor dad, to meeting others at conferences, to listening to podcasts like yours and others, to basically self-taught myself how to do this. Because sometimes as physicians, we think we can do everything, and we think we're smart and can figure out everything. But there's many nuances to a lot of these things, including this real estate professional and cost segregation, like you mentioned. So you have to get educated. You have to go outside the box. I attend real estate conferences. I connect with other real estate physicians and colleagues. And you have to put as much time into that as you do into medicine to really do it well.
Yeah. That's awesome. And one thing I'm hearing in there, and I say all the time, is getting outside, not only outside the box, Carlos, and that's where some of these great things come in, like cost segregation and stuff, but outside the circle. Physicians have a tendency to be around physicians because, I mean, how many hours seriously do you work in a week, right? Do you have any other time to get outside of there? But what we're saying is when you get outside of that circle, you go to these meetups, you go with these other, whether developers or other high income earners, you know, you get around those like-minded people. That's where you start developing outside of medicine.
Yeah, you have to be able to talk the lingo, and you need to go out there and find the people to talk to. So, you know, conferences like the Real Estate Guys or Tom Burns in his book, The Rich Doctor, Why Doctors Don't Get Rich. And these are all good people. Robert Kiyosaki in his book, and just change your mindset of how to get things done, and things will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing you mentioned there too, just as a physician, extremely intelligent, sometimes that's a downfall. And it's the pride thing, the almost like an arrogance sometimes, where if I'm not a surgeon. I'm saying hypothetically here, I'm a surgeon. I've got this. I mean, look what I do for a living, right? You don't think I can buy a single family house and cash flow off of it, or a multifamily building? You know, so I think that sometimes that's a challenge for physicians because of the level of intelligence that they already possess.
I think the challenge is the amount of time you want to give to something else other than what you do every day. There's a challenge because you know that you could try to learn this, but that's going to take time, and you don't have a lot of time. So then you try to figure out either, okay, I kind of know it, or I don't want to know it. I'll let someone else take care of it, and then you sort of you shortchange yourself on what's possible. Where real estate allows me to have time to do medicine and more because I don't have to worry about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's awesome. And reaching outside, that timepiece is huge because we can leverage so many things in order to decrease the amount of time it takes me to get from point A to point B. Meaning that when I expand my associations, when I put myself around like-minded people, when I leverage certain kind of software, even in something as simple as this, we can learn so much from videos, right? And then taking that video to 1.5 speed versus standard speed, just those little tiny things to increase your rate of knowledge collection and that rate of, I guess, progress. So where you're making it possible because you're devoting so much more time to medicine.
Yeah, I think it's a dangerous thing that physicians get themselves into sometimes, not allowing time for something other than medicine. I think you need to allow time for your family. You need to allow time for your faith. You need to allow time for your health. There's so many other things other than work. And then there's got to be sort of this other streams of income that you've got to be able to set up because God forbid something happens to you. It will affect your family. It will affect you. So real estate is a way that you can do that. You set something else on the side. You have a whole group of different people you're learning from, and you open up to the world.
You said that. What I think I heard, smaller multifamily is your favorite type of real estate. Tell us a little bit about what's attractive to the smaller multis and what does small mean to you?
To me, I stay within 7 to 20, 30 units. I like that because this way there's one or two that are not rented. You're still always still cash flowing. You're at a minimum paying the note, but usually more than that easily. I don't get in over leverage. I go in 20, 30% usually down, although I have acquired properties with no money down. So I like that because it's very manageable. I'm not as interested in syndication. I think syndications allows you to get into bigger deals, but then I have control issues. So I like to be in control of what's going on, and a syndication doesn't allow that for me, unless I'm the general partner, which I'm not interested in worrying about someone else's money, and I don't want to risk their money. So I'd rather just do it on my own. So small multifamily is a nice niche for me, and it's been working.
And what markets are you solely in the South Texas markets for those?
Yes, yeah, I stay in the South Texas market. I like this market. I think it's booming, it's growing. Since I've been here, there's a brand new medical school, which I'm on the faculty of. There's Elon Musk has SpaceX down here in Boca Chica and Brownsville. There's a lot of growth and development and good pricing and good solid people. The state is very friendly towards owning property. So it's a good area. And I like to be able to drive and see and since my wife is a real estate professional, we have hands-on on all the different units.
Wow. And I just pulled this up, and you are in the southern tip of Texas down there. I mean, you're right there with South Padre.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Very cool. Now, how about what's your I guess experience this year, last year with taxes there in Texas?
Well, believe it or not, they just lowered the property taxes.
Oh yeah,
the governor passed some law, and I just got my property tax bill, and it's half of what it was.
What?
Yes. So I'm just hoping it stays that way because then it'll be great. But since we're high here, and now they're come down.
Texas taxes. I just typed that in my notes here, Carlos, and it's very interesting. It's TEXAS and then TAXES, Texas taxes. What's going on with that? We get that flipped around there, and you're all of a sudden your taxes are less than what they were before. That's crazy.
They actually are, and I think it's because the state, runs a big surplus of money and has decided to apply that surplus to the property taxes.
Wow, that's awesome. So what would be the downfall of owning multifamilies in Texas?
Well, I don't really know of any downfall. I don't know of any downfall.
That's awesome answer.
Downfall.
Right. No, that's awesome. So what's next for Carlos, man? What's on the block?
I have my kids. I think those are my greatest accomplishments. My son, he's a lawyer, and he's barred in Texas as well as New Mexico. And right now he's in Army boot camp. We're gonna go pick him up next week, and he's serving his country, and he's gonna be an attorney. And my daughter's in medical school in El Paso, and we just went on a medical mission trip doing cleft lips and cleft palates in Mexico. And she was with me operating, and that was awesome. So I think continue to develop my children, enjoy them with my wife, enjoy life, continue to grow the practice, perhaps build a surgery center. Who knows? Whatever comes up, but just keep forward.
Doing what you were designed to do.
Yes.
That's awesome. And in that moment when you find that path, I feel a lot of us may not know exactly what that is, but when that moment comes and you do understand or feel that you've been created for this moment, this instant, this path, helping these people, I just got to imagine that's an amazing feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. So cool. Hey, Carlos, if you could, what's that?
Thanks for a good day.
Yeah. Right. Every day is a good day that way, right? So if you could go back, say 15 years, and you were set aside someone that was on the same path as you, looking to do the same things in life, what would you tell that person?
Well, I think you've brought it up, is this limiting beliefs. I say don't limit yourself. I think anything is truly possible. You just need to figure out how to make it possible. Figure out what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what keeps your family together, what keeps you healthy, what keeps you moving forward. Find that. Find people to help you do that, and then do it.
Do it. That's great advice. And if I could add anything to the limiting belief thing, is our brain stops when we say, I can't. Our brain goes to work when we say, how can I? And in those instances when we think of or have those times or even notice our colleagues or associates in those moments saying those things that they may not even be aware that they're saying, if you even just stop and practice in those moments, say, hey, how could we make that possible? How can I do this? How can I be that person? It opens us up to limitless opportunities. And Carlos, it takes us closer to who we are designed to be. Right. And in those moments of challenge, it's creating that character that's necessary to be that person we're designed to be. And that's kind of, I guess, my little add to your ad there. But I think that's awesome. Removing any limits and just knowing that everything is possible, right?
Yes.
Well, man, we are wrapping it up here. I've enjoyed the conversation, Carlos. I know it goes so fast when we get together and start talking about this, but I really appreciate you sharing your journey, and then all of the experience in real estate. Funnest part of taxes in Texas, and there is no downfall to owning the multifamilies down there in South Texas, huh?
Fun.
Awesome.
I know. I'm doing
you're right.
And so is everyone else I know. So I don't think so.
Yep. Well, congratulations on your path. Congratulations on your family. Continue to nurture those relationships, because those are the moments that we are granted to help so many other people when we continue to build our families.
Thank you, Brett.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. And to the listeners out there today, if you have any questions for Carlos, you can look him up on LinkedIn, right? You can search him, Carlos Ayala. It's Ayala. And you can find him on LinkedIn, right?
That's right.
Perfect. And if you have any questions for us, you can email us, info@physicianwealthsystems. If you have any ideas for guests on the show, if you have any questions or topics or scenarios, even deal summaries, whatever, we want to hear from you. Shoot us an email. And most of all, thank you for your time and attention here today. This is Real Estate Mogul, MD.